Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I was going to introduce myself and Robert, but we've already had a wonderful introduction. Thank you. Can I just have a show of hands from everybody who has visited the Victoria Theatre before? Oh, great. So more than half the room. In fact, I'd say a good 3/4 of the room has been to us before. That's really good to know. Thank you. I'm just, by way of aside, it's International Friendship Day today, just thought I'd let you all know. So it's nice to be here, and hopefully we can make some new friends while we're here as well. So I don't know if you all know, as you probably, as I mentioned, the Victoria Theatre is owned by Calderdale Council, so it has been called the Civic Theatre, and many people who've been coming for many years still call it the Civic Theatre. We do like to be called the Victoria Theatre nowadays. It's been entertaining people of Halifax and beyond since 1901. And at the Victoria Theatre we do like to be as welcoming and inclusive as we can. However, we are an old Grade 2 listed building with lots of structural challenges. We're also what is known as a receiving house. This means that we don't produce our own shows other than the annual pantomime. But we are a venue for touring companies, so companies will come for a night or maybe a week, use the venue, and they go on to the next place. So yeah, although we do like to be welcoming, we don't always get things right. So despite the fact that our banner up here says we are the perfect venue, I think in a lot of ways we're far from it. That's why we're here this evening, because we want to talk to you about what we can offer service-wise, although a lot of people will already know, as you've already been, but it's always nice to just remind people what we can offer to people, and also we want to hear from you as well about your experiences, and we want you to tell us what you think we could do better, or what even we do well, which is always nice to hear, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that we don't do as well that we'd like to know about. So we can cater for people with a range of disabilities, people who have hearing impairments, visual impairments, wheelchair users, or those people that have access problems that mean that they need to use a stick or can't manage stairs, people with autistic spectrum disorder, Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities, as well as people with Alzheimer's. I'm going to pass you on to Robert, who will talk a little bit more about each of these areas now.
Yeah, as Chloe said before, we're not perfect, but we're looking to sort of improve, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to come and talk to you tonight. And I was going to highlight some of the things that we do presently, and we're looking to improve. So with regards to hearing impaired, we offer an induction loop for hearing aid users in the box office and in the auditorium. We have an infrared audio system for customers in the stores and the circle. And then one of the other things we do at the pantomime every year, we have a British Sign Language interpreted, we have a number of performances which are interpreted, and we have a couple where the signers are actually involved in the performance, taking part in the performance, but along with the actors, they're dressed up in costume and taking part with the whole signing, so a little bit different. Yeah.
And then we offer a BSL interpreted side of stage performance as well, for schools and anybody else who would prefer that to the integrated performance.
With regards to the visually impaired section, we produce brochures. We've got some on your tables today. For our main brochure, we produce a large print one. If anyone would like a copy sent in, let us know, because we can send them out to people. That's one of the things we try to do. We also encourage guide dogs into the auditorium. If the guide dog doesn't want to come into the auditorium, our front of house staff will gladly look after the dog. They're always very keen to look after the dog while the show's going on. We can give assistance in and out of the auditorium. We've got front of house staff who will help you to the seats, to the theatre, to the toilets. We have seating specially allocated near to the accessible toilets. When we have a show on, we can move seats about, take seats in, take seats out, so we can position people where we need to, really. And then the other thing that we offer for our pantomime is we offer a touch tour, so that people can get up close and personal to the actual costumes and to everything with regards to the pantomime. The other area that we're looking to improve an awful lot is for wheelchair users. We do have some, we have access points for wheelchairs. We'll show you a video in a moment of some of your colleagues came along to the theatre last week, and we'll show you a little video of how they got in and out of the theatre. But we have level access to the stalls on Commercial Street, where people can get in. You can go to the box office, collect your ticket, you can go around to Commercial Street to get in. We take seats in and out of the auditorium for a show, so when we know there's a wheelchair is needed, we can take as many seats out that we need. We normally reserve them in various places around the theatre, so some maybe on the front row, some maybe down the side. We try to make them as close to the accessible toilets as possible, and just make it as easy as possible for wheelchair users to get in and out of the auditorium. The other thing that we're learning more and more is for when we have a stand-up concert, we're developing our area for wheelchair users and for people who are unable to walk up and down the stairs, so that, for example, when people like Florence and Sheen, Gary Barlow are at the theatre, we have a section at the front of the theatre where wheelchair users and the carers are able to go, so it's probably one of the best places in the theatre when there's a stand-up concert, so it's worth booking early to get one of those spaces.
In terms of people with ASD and Down syndrome, Alzheimer's, the biggest service we offer at the moment is for our pantomime. We have a relaxed performance of our pantomime. I don't know if anybody has been to that or taken anybody to it. But it basically it provides a more subtle sensory experience. So the lighting is less bright, the sounds are less loud. So where we use pyrotechnics and explosions, we tend to not use them for the relaxed performance. We also create a friendly and welcoming environment so that people can shout out, they can move around, they can sort of interact with the performers. The performers are actually sort of trained to an extent to interact more with people during that performance, so that it's actually encouraged throughout the performance. Also, as part of that pantomime performance, there's more space for larger wheelchair users, and we can take out all the seats in the stalls, and if necessary we would take all the seats out in the stalls to accommodate wheelchair users in for that performance. That's all that we can offer at the moment in terms of people with those kind of disabilities. However, we also offer complimentary tickets for essential carers of anybody with a disability. So we do have a number of them. There is a limited number, but usually I don't know whether or not you guys can feedback, but usually that it's enough for the people that need them. And that goes for every show that we offer.
Yes, as I mentioned, last week we invited some of your colleagues to the theatre to have a look around and give us some sort of ideas of how they find the theatre. So we've created, we've got a little video to show you. Hopefully.
I normally go into the box office. I purchase my tickets via the desk, and then I ask the ladies to keep the tickets till show night. Then on the night of the show, I'll go into the box office, pick up my tickets, and I'll come back out the building, and I'll come round to the accessible door at the side, and then I'd come through these doors here, and then the ladies would show you to your seat.
Well, first we go around our tax 15 times 10 park, and then we'll come out and go to access door at the side, which if there's somebody there that's bad, you know, just like but if they're in, then whoever you're with has to go into the box office. That way, we then get in here and they'll have already sorted the space out because they've phoned ahead of time saying that what time I'll be here and how many seats I need. If we need any drinks or anything, staff are usually quite pleasant and we'll do that for you.
Once we have notification of new and accessible seats, we can move seats about, we can take seats in and out. If there's a live concert, where it's a standing concert, that whole section up front is a section for an accessible area for wheelchairs and carers, which is a great position within the theatre when it's a concert.
At most shows there is actually seats that have been taken out in case somebody turns up that we weren't aware of that needs an accessible seat, so there's usually somewhere we can put them.
Can I just say a massive thanks to Philip as well for filming and editing and putting together that video for us. So thank you, Phil. So we just want to now just talk about some of the plans that we've got for the future. Some of it is, some of it's quite, hopefully not too long into the future, but we're sort of early stages of our planning at the moment. We are looking to offer a drinks service to your seat as standard. I know it was mentioned in the video that front of house staff do offer to bring you a drink, but that just at the moment kind of depend on the front of house staff person. So if that's something that would definitely be welcomed by everybody, then I think that's something we'd like to offer. Because at the moment, although you can get a wheelchair into the stalls, and we have a toilet, we don't have access to the bar. We have a terrible ramp that shouldn't really be there. So so that is definitely something that I think would, so that people can access the bar, sort of anyway. But in terms of the long-term plans, we're very well aware that as a Victorian theatre, we don't have any access lifts, and we do have a stall. Well, we're 3 levels of the theatre. We have the stalls, the circle and the balcony. And on the circle level we have a large bar that at the moment houses our comedy club. And at the moment is not accessible at all to any wheelchair users. And if you can manage a couple of steps, then that's fine. But there's steps all over the building once you get onto that level, up into the toilets, and not actually onto the circle itself. So one of the things the Victoria Theatre owns the retail units, the council owns the retail units under the Victoria Theatre, and one of them has become very vacant recently. And we're looking to take that over and change it into a new box office. And in that box office, we're going to hopefully build an access lift to the circle level to give access to the circle and the green room bar, and also create an accessible toilet on that level too. So that would mean, it will improve access to the box office for one. It means that the box office will be closer to that commercial street entrance for another. So when the weather's bad, you're not having to go all the way down the street in poor weather. And also then we are going to create an access lift. Now I was hoping to bring some plans, but they're confidential at the moment, unfortunately, and we're still like I say, for finalising those plans. That's one of the reasons why we're here talking to you guys, so that you can give us some thoughts on what you think would really help you and what you need. And then we're going out for funding for that at the moment.